Welcome back, my global family. This is where we left off in our last video. Thank you for watching. Hey guys, how are you guys? So I wanted to do this, discuss, things you should think about before you move into a community in the West as an African immigrant, because it is so important. Because if you don't know where you're moving to, you might think that everybody in that community is the same. All Black American people, we're not the same. Let's get into this video.
Various YouTubers. How do you feel?
Hey, I'm trying my little selfie stick. I was like, I needed to get up, get out, and go for a walk. Let me get myself covered here. I like the selfie stick. It's much better than, there we go. See my mouth? I'm having another allergic reaction. And I just was like thinking, I'm doing, hey, this is Empress. I hope you all can hear me. I needed to get out, just kind of get my exercise in and get some fresh air. Look at that sun. The sky is so pretty. So I was thinking, how can I be a positive? Okay, what do I want to discuss today? I'm thinking about repatriation, I'm thinking about Africa. Morning, noon, night, weekdays, weekends. And I think it's making me sick. Honestly, y'all, I think that's why I'm having these allergic reactions, because I'm wanting to get out of here so bad. And it doesn't feel attainable right now. That I realized I'm gonna have to redirect my focus and start thinking about here, this place that I'm at, and how to make it better for me while I'm here, right? How can I help those who are so gun-ho on coming here thinking it's a better way of life? And I just kind of like, let me redirect my focus. Let me stop focusing on going to Africa, to survival tips in the West. Because you're gonna need some survival tips, y'all. You're gonna need some survival tips. Survival tips in the West are essential. You're gonna need to know how to deal with Black Americans, honestly, because that's gonna be your first introduction. What happens is, first of all, we have very different class of people here. And unfortunately, Africans, when they come here, not all, but a lot, they come here falling under a certain class. Because this is a class society, like a caste society. We have different classes. We have your upper class, we have your upper class, your upper middle class, your lower middle class, right? Your upper lower class, your middle lower class, and then your lower class. Like, we really broke it down like that, okay? Now you see this neighborhood I'm walking in, right? And I guess in a lot of African countries, this would be considered like upper class, I don't know. But my financial state in this country, I'm considered, because of my financials, I'm considered lower class. But I do live in a neighborhood like this. And then I do have a brand new car. So I'm like upper lower class, okay? But I'm in the lower class section because technically, if I go and apply for food stamps, medical assistance, lower income housing, I qualify. So that's how I know I'm part of the lower class community, because I qualify for the benefits of the lower class. Boom, just get that out the way. So when a lot of people come here, if their family does not already have money, say they are people who are already having a hard time and struggling, and their country and they come over here, whether it's educational or job skills, whatever they have. Financially, when they get here, they're part of the lower class community, whatever it is, this upper lower class, lower middle class, whatever, they're part of the lower class. And with that, in this country, we organize everything according to zip codes. Zip codes are a new way of segregation in this country. So that's how we segregate our communities. It's not spoken, it's unspoken. You have certain zip codes where the streets are cleaned every day and schools have all the best equipment. The schools have everything in it. Stores, you have a variety of stores you can pick from that are good, clothing stores, grocery stores with the best produce. And then you have other zip codes where stores are scarce. The grocery stores has very little selection on fresh produce, maybe a lot of liquor stores in the community. It all depends. A lot of fast food Chinese restaurants versus quality restaurants. So what I notice is with class, you have different behavior. People who are well educated, self-employed entrepreneurs, because everyone who's financially well does not have an education. Because there's some people who just have that entrepreneur spirit and they hustle. People who work hard, entrepreneurs, well educated, who take the time to really focus on bringing their family up to a certain level, putting their money aside, working with their, family. Because like for me and my family, we live together. So I'm blessed. That's why I live in this neighborhood, right? Because we joined our money together. When you live in so when you live in a neighborhood like this, you find that people take care of their yards, right? People pay for the trash to get picked up. Today was a trash day, so you don't see trash all over the area. It's a really nice area. And then, you have the next level under, and then there's one above us. I don't even know. I can't even speak on that community because I don't have access to that community. But this is the community I have access to. I've been access to this community and others below it. I'm part of all of it, and I've lived in all of them. And then you have the community where, they're still hardworking, right? But they just don't have a lot. They still may own their home. It might be some homes and then some apartments. It's a little mix, right? Homeowners and mix. You might have some people who work and you might have some people who are maybe on Section 8, but the community is kind of mixed, right? I lived in that community before. And you still might see, that's when you might start seeing a little bit of bad behavior, because it is mixed. You have some people who are being taken care of by the state, and then you have those who are working. And then you have just a straight lower class, okay? People who still have decent people, right? You have people who don't have the education or skills, but they go to work every day. And because of the type of job they do, they can't afford certain things. And that was me at one time. I think when I was right after I had my first child, I was 23. My mother just passed away, and I had to find a way for me and my son. So I was doing telemarketing work. I only had an associate's degree, so you're limited on what you can do. And back then, I can't remember how much, maybe $10 an hour. You're limited on where you can live if you can afford an apartment making $10 an hour. So I was part of the lower class. I got food stamps, medical assistance. I think I also got like daycare help so that I could put my son in daycare so I could work, and I got assistance, but I also worked. You have those type of people, and then you have those who are generational on the system. They get food stamps, they get money, they get free housing, and they never work. And they raise their kids like that, and the kids end up having babies and doing the same thing. So you have the generational people who are like that as well in that same community. So everyone's not bad, but what happens in those communities, poverty brings bad behavior. It's just a reality in the States. Poverty brings bad behavior. If you look at the history of this country, when the Italians came over here as immigrants and they were poor, they created gangs. When the Irish came over here, they created gangs. Al Capone, Bugsy Malone, all those people. It was all out of poverty. Poverty brings bad behavior because people want the American way of life, and if they can't find any other kind of way to attain it. But the problem with all those groups in this country, if you're a white man in poverty, it's like poor, 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 poor. Oh, the poor white man, that's real. And they create programs, they create jobs and what have you to help you. But in the black community, they were always mad that they couldn't use us as free labor. And so when they threw us in the poverty stricken, they just found another way to continue that free labor. So instead of creating jobs and programs to help us, they created a prison system and did everything they can to push us in that prison system with poor schooling, poor school system, poor food, alcohol, and drugs. These things are pumped into those communities, not educational programs, not after-school programs, not job programs, the opposite, all right? Here you come from Africa, you have well intentions. Of course, I don't know what you're told about Black Americans, but I'm quite sure you're fed a lot of negativity about Black Americans, because just from the media that I see that they have of us on the media, it's pretty much negative, and I don't really participate in it. I don't watch it. I grew up in an upper middle class neighborhood. Everybody in my family is a professional. Everybody in my family has been educated. Most of the people in my family are entrepreneurs, and we're very family oriented. We're a close-knit family. The community I was raised in, the people are like that. This right here is one of the richest Black communities in the United States. All right, PG County. Good morning. How are you? Look at that. So pretty. That's what I'm looking at when I'm walking. Let's get back to our little talk. What I want to warn you all of is we already have cultural difference, the Africans and the diasporas. We have a culture here that is, totally unfamiliar to you. We have a Euro type of culture here because that's who we lived under. That's who we had to adjust our way as to survive and thrive. So a lot of our ways is very it's Euro. It's very Euro. Not to be proud of it, but it's the reality of it. We lived with them. We slept with them. We fed them. We built for them. I don't know if I'm doing a wise thing going through this path, but we have a lot of them. No, I ain't doing that. It's a path. It's been raining. Let's try it. I haven't done this walk in a while, so I need to do it. Where was I? So, when you come over here, okay, guys, let me explain something to you. A lot of you all financially, you're not going to be able to move into neighborhoods like this. When you get here, you may. A lot of us can't afford to live in neighborhoods like this, being born and raised in here, because we don't have access to it. So what happens is, in those poor communities, you see a large a large African communities stuck in the middle of them. You see like the Sudanese community, the Ethiopian community, you see like the Nigerian community. You know, you all create your own little villages amongst the African Americans. Honestly, I can say we're not nice. I can honestly say you're gonna be dealing with some bad behavior. Even as a black woman in America, I can't take the behavior. I'm out of shape. But the problem is, even though I can't take the behavior, I understand it. And I don't disrespect the people. And they're gonna disrespect you because they're going on what they see on TV. They're going on the behavior that you give towards them. A lot of it is language barriers because you don't know how to speak the language. We have a lot of slang here. Your English is not our English. But what happened is, and this is what, you know, and I'm not excusing the black Americans. I just want, let you know, yeah, you're going to be dealing with a lot of bad behavior. But that's because you're 9 times out of 10, you're going to move into a neighborhood where that's all that is there is foster is bad behavior. And this is where I start having issues with a lot of my African brothers and sisters, especially people that I'm close with, and they said this to me, and it gets me upset every time they say it. They'll say stuff like, "You're not like other African Americans." What do you mean? Like, they're so, they want to say something negative, like they're this, they're that, and I'm like, no. You moved into a community where that was a prominent behavior. That is not African Americans across the board, okay? That's like me coming to your country and saying, all Africans are scammers, because that's what we see them as, because they come over here and we've dealt with a lot of scams. So I can say over there, like, all Africans are scammers and users. You can't do that. And that's where we start causing division. If you move into a community where it's lower income and most of the people there are dealing with poverty and just trying to deal with just getting quality food, you're going to deal with bad behavior. You're going to have people who are not going to treat you nice. You're going to have people who are disrespectful. It's like that. And you're going to have people who are caught up into drugs and alcohol, and no, they're not hard worker. But you can't say all Black Americans are lazy. You moved into a community where that is prominent. And if you don't want to see that kind of behavior, you move out of that community and into a community of like-minded people, and you're going to find a totally different class of Black Americans. So that's one of the things that I really want to stop. I want people to stop saying that all Black Americans, because it's not. When you come over here, and if you move into a certain community, then you got to expect certain behavior. And that's what a lot of Africans are doing. They move into poor communities, and then they want to classify, and then they tell people, oh, Black Americans, they're lazy. Oh, they don't do nothing, or they're bad, or they got happy. No. I've had this argument so many times, and I was like, you moved into a poor neighborhood. That's why you deal with bad behavior. If you live in a poor neighborhood, you're going to deal with bad behavior. Which way am I going to walk? I saw a guy coming with a dog. I didn't want to stand there with him, with the dog. I'm going to let him pass. So that's one of the things I just want you to be aware of. If you're blessed enough to move into a community where there are working class people who have money to, who are educated, who are open-minded, you're going to have a much different experience. You cannot sum up all African Americans. Oh, here he comes with this dog. I thought I was avoiding you. I thought I was avoiding you and the dog. That's why I came up here. I said, well, I'm going to come up here, wait till he goes past. I don't play them dog business. And you see how polite he was? You see how polite he was? He said, you're fine. No worries. You know, in another situation, a different community, it would have been a different kind of response, right? So just always be mindful of where you are. All Black Americans are not rude. All Black Americans are not poor. All Black Americans are not bad behavior. All Black Americans are not lazy. You have different class. If you move into a neighborhood that is of a lower income, lower education, they have daily struggles of just trying to take care of themselves, you may have a different kind of reality. The way to get out of that reality is, you know, do what you do, like what you all always do. You work hard, you gather your money together, and you move out. But do not sit and start bashing Black Americans and call us lazy and call us hardship, because you have to know the history of your Black American cousins. We went through a struggle here. Many of us are born into poverty, and it's a vicious cycle. And when you get into a school system, when you're at kindergarten and they labeled you a bad kid or they don't want to educate you, you are giving a rough start. You know, we have a thing called here, what is it, from school to prison. You know, they literally can assess a child when they're in kindergarten if they're going to go to prison or not. Like, who does that? So they already have a track, not track to college, but track to prison, of how soon they're going to get you in the prison system. And that's the reality here. And so when you move into the States, when you come over here, you know, give your family grace. Give your Black brothers and sisters grace. You know, and just like over there, you have scam artists. You're going to have people over here who are going to be scam artists. You're going to have people over here that's going to try to rob you, especially if you live in those communities. You're going to have people who are going to make fun of you because, you know, when you're already down, you want to make someone else feel down worse than you, right? You know, the kids can be mean. If you don't speak the language well, you know, they're going to take advantage of you. You know, that's, you know, not everyone, but it will happen. Do your research. And the best way to do your research to know what kind of community you're moving in is the zip codes. Every community has a zip code. 20032, 20034, 20009, 2001111. You know, we have a 20032. We have a 5-digit zip code. You look up that zip code, you can look up everything about a community, how many schools they have in it, the ratings of the schools, how many liquor stores, the demographics, everything by zip code. So I suggest anyone, when you move over into the States, before you move into a neighborhood, take that zip code, look up the zip code, and look up the demographic. You can look up, see how many pedophiles are in your neighborhood, if you have children, sex offenders. Check it out. Do your research. And then that way, when you come here, you can kind of redirect your first experience in America, because it doesn't have to be negative where you're sitting and you have bad experience with your Black brothers and sisters, you know, because we are wonderful people here. You know, we have culture, we have love, we have good time. You know, why put yourself in a position where you're like, you don't like us? You know, research your community. Research your community. The zip code is the best way. What I'll do is I'll try to look up some information where how you can look up information about your community. and then before you move into it, and then that way when you move into your community, you have an idea of what to expect. At least what to expect. Like, okay, I know this is a bad neighborhood, so I know kind of what to expect. This is, even like sex offenders. You'll know if you're moving next door to a sex offender. You like if you need a, and they'll put their face up. You'll see what they look like. You'll know if they work near you and if they work near your child's school. Okay, because that's important. Yeah, I hope that was helpful. Please like and subscribe. I hope this helped you in your transition from the continent to the West.